started doing this, I was still babysitting, and it was too chaotic to start filming like the opening to this video. And so now that kids are gone and my shirt is different and all of that, now I'll film my intro to this video. So I'm gonna do, we filmed a video kind of opening these Christian books from the Christian book distributors, their $10 box, like sample box. And so instead of like try a chapter, I want to do a first impressions video. So first impressions of 5 books and what I think about them, and I'm going to talk and share with them. I originally was going to do like the first read 15 minutes of each one, but it kind of has built into ending up reading like the first 4 chapters of each book. So I still have one more to do, but after this you're going to start seeing, bless you, you're going to start hearing my first impressions of these books and kind of what I'm thinking. 3 books that I have high expectations for. So The String, which is an unreliable narrator because it's kind of told from the bad guy's perspective. Sister Eve, Private Eye, and so this is about a nun that kind of does some detective work. And then Beyond I Do. Now I originally thought, and you'll hear about this in a little bit, I thought this was a kind of what happens after the happily ever after. So they found the Prince Charming, they got married, now what happens? Because not a lot of that is talked about, and not a lot is talked about of the adjustments of now being married to your husband and kind of changing roles from daughter to wife or independent to now you have another person in your life. So, but that's not what this is about. So that was why I chose that one. And then these ones I was like, don't really have high expectations for. And this one is, I thought this was going to be about a husband and wife and kind of their letting go of each other as one dies. So I mean it can get kind of difficult. And then Blessings, which is a Christian romance between a Quaker and a non-believer. So let's get into first impressions. Okay, so the first one I started with was Sister Eve, Private Eye, a Devine private detective agency mystery. So it's it looks like divine, but it is pronounced Devine. First impressions, I got all the way to chapter 5, and that includes a prologue, but I'm not trying to like read the first 5 chapters. I'm trying to read 15 minutes and it's been interrupted. So at one point I'm like, I'm just finishing this chapter. Okay, first impressions. This is the story, or the mystery here is where has this man gone? And at the opening of this prologue, you find out that he is about to run away with money. He has lied. What is that? There's a term for it. I need to drink a coffee. Hold on. Embezzled. And then he also gets from his friend from childhood who has done this for him his whole life, a script that he has written, and then this character that disappears, his name is Chaz Chesterton, I believe. People have been running for him for his whole life. His father is a director, his grandfather is a director, a family of actors. So you get at the prologue, you understand that something is happening and he's just not a likable character. What's going to happen? Then it opens up with our sister Evangeline, or Sister Eve, praying in a monastery, and she is a character. She gets up and they talk about her cowboy boots kind of peeking through her garment. She has a motorcycle helmet sitting next to her. She's praying, and then she goes out and she sees her brother, who is a policeman, and her father, who is a captain. And then we go to another scene where where you're on a ranch and you have two cowboys, and I think they're kind of like a dude ranch, so they give rides and stuff like that. My husband did this, and so this takes place in California and I think New Mexico. I think they're in California. Let me see. Where are they? So they're in Madrid, New Mexico, which is gonna be very interesting since other parts that kind of play into this. I'm trying to be discreet so as not to kind of take away from the experience of this mystery. But here's where I'm like, okay, this is interesting. This is published by Thomas Nelson, and on this dude ranch, and I'm not sure how much these characters are going to play into it, but we have two men so not expecting to find that in a Christian work. And that's where I left off. A body has been found, but is it the body? And I question that because of other circumstances, if it's the right body. Alright, so that's kind of where I am. So first impressions are, I mean, this sister sounds like a whole lot of fun. And her family sounds like a whole lot of fun. There's a lot of bantering back and forth between her and her brother. But I'm kind of interested. I don't know. I'm kind of nervous where they're going to take these two ranchers. Okay, so second book that I've read, and this one in order to get up to chapter 5, so the first 4 chapters, I almost read like 100 pages to get there. But honestly, this moved much more slowly, so it kind of needed a little bit more to get into it. My husband's having a Greek lesson. I'm going to take this into the other room. But let me talk really briefly about this book. So again, 100 pages to kind of get into this. And this is a historical romance. I would definitely, yeah, historical romance. And this tells the story of basically a bad boy and a Quaker girl. That's what I am kind of getting the vibes from. Our main male character is coming to Cincinnati, Ohio, to basically like set up this racetrack. He's trying to defy his father, and he's just done with I'm not really quite sure what his main beef is with the world, but definitely a beef against his father. Then our main female character, Blessing, she is a widow, and she is part of the women's rights movement. It's the suffrage movement. Not only that, like the abolition. So she's part of the Underground Railroad, and she also, in her fight for rights, you learn that she also takes in illegitimate babies that are kind of cast-offs and tries to help a lot of the prostitute women and kind of help change their life. So that's kind of like the opening of this, is that it's a little Darcy and Elizabeth in the sense that they can't stand each other. And just, again, it sounds like she's been burned by her first husband and just wanting to make a difference in the world kind of through her Quaker beliefs and religions. So that's kind of where I am on this one. If I had just done like a 15-minute read, I would have been a little bit more bored to tears with it, because it kind of starts off very typical with Christian fiction, and now as we kind of see more of the behind the scenes plot with her trying to help the less fortunate. Is she really a woman's suffragette? I think that's kind of like a... What is the word? Why do words fail me so much lately? It's kind of like, is she really voting for this, for lack of, or pun intended? Not sure. She has a good friend in here that she's a little bit leery of the male, the friend's guy that's part of this, and kind of has like a very low view of men, whereas our male protagonist has a young, low view of females. So kind of typical, but alright, so that's all I'm going to say about this. Will I finish this? I will, but again, right now, if I was to rate what I would think it is, I would probably give it like a 2.5, a 3-star. Like, it was okay, which is what a 2-star is, but it's a little bit beyond it's okay. But we'll see what more. Lynn Cote, I don't think I've ever read a book that I disliked of hers, but it sounds like it's going to be one of those books that are really going to have to get in. Yep, so we'll see that. So right now, kind of predictions are, the predictions on this being like a low star read for me was definitely accurate. But now I'm going to pick up another book that I'm really curious on, and I will check in right after that. Well, I did the first 4 chapters of Beyond I Do by Jennifer Slattery, and I had this one all wrong. I thought this was about a married couple and basically the hardships that they have after they were married, but it is not. They're not even married yet. And it is about a medical chick. I think she sells to pharmaceuticals, or she's in pharmaceuticals, I think is the actual term. And it starts out with her taking a bag of food to basically like a really shady part of town, and she's more well-to-do, so she's kind of giving... It makes me think of in Blind Side when Sandra Bullock is going and visiting the mother of the boy that they want to adopt. It makes me think of that. Just kind of unnerving and everything. And then you find out her fiance is a psychiatrist that helped her kind of come out of her shell later. And it's looking like the psychiatrist of a fiance is kind of a narcissist. So he's very controlling, and he kind of wants this picture perfect life. And then another guy just came onto the scene, so it looks like this is going to have a love triangle in it. But, I mean, the first 4 chapters was a lot different from Blessing, and I got 27 pages into this one. So this will be interesting. I think it's going to kind of tug a little bit at my heartstrings, especially since I have a lot in common with the main character of wanting to help these people and not really sure how to help them in a way that it's truly helpful. I mean, you can go and do things, but is that truly helpful? So I think we're going to have a little bit of that. And then the second guy that came onto the scene has a mom with Alzheimer's in a nursing home that it doesn't sound like the nursing home is very beneficial. So all of these thoughts kind of going through my mind. First impressions is kind of intriguing of where it would go. It has endorsements by Vanetta Chapman, who does a lot of mystery writing, I believe, and then Kathy Macias. Not sure I'm saying that right, but it's Macias. And I read her book that had to do with a quilt. It's been a few years. Quilt and just kind of like this home and shelter for this these lost women kind of thing. So, yeah, not what I was expecting, but I guess we'll see where else this takes us. So now I'm going to start the other book that I have not really high expectations for. So I'll give you my review after I've done the first 4 chapters of that one, I think. Because pretty consistently now I've read the first 4 chapters. This one I could have gone a little bit further, but I think I kind of got an idea of what this is going to be like. So I would say this is like a contemporary Christian romance. So I read to chapter 5 on this book, which is 78 pages, and I think I'm really gonna like this one. This one is kind of a family drama, I guess you would call it. Family life is what the back says. And I know I'm gonna really like this because I'm kind of entering, so when I was this person's age, I read about finding my Prince Charming, right? And now as a married woman, I'm kind of reading more of what to expect in the future. So kids growing up, grandkids, things that we face. And those are the kinds of books that are really interesting me. And this definitely has it. Now there is a lot of characters already in the first 4 chapters because you have your main, mom, pa, let's call them. And she's going to be a character that I don't necessarily dislike, but I don't love. Jane is our main character, and her husband has been diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. Now, I know Lou Gehrig's disease, or it's ALS, I believe, is the other term for it. I know about it because I watched the movie as a kid about Lou Gehrig, starring Gary Cooper. So I know what to expect, and whatnot. And so, and even that's limited, but I know what to expect. Jane, however, is kind of relying on her faith, and they just have to have faith. And if they have enough Christian faith, he's going to be healed. And so she kind of has that. I've known people like that. I've known people that are like, you just need to have faith and your cancer is going to be healed. You have to believe that God is going to heal you of this because he has shown it through scripture. I have known people like that. So I'm really interested to see where it goes, especially as she has gone to her sister's house, her sister is not a believer. Her sister is very anti-marriage, anti-everything that Jane is. Jane brought up 4 or 5 kids, and loves being a stay-at-home mom, loves the whole 1950s portrayal of the perfect wife, family and all of that. And her sister's everything anti that, career woman and whatnot. When she finds out her sister has breast cancer, and she finds it a very harsh way. So I'm curious to see where this is going to go, especially because she's like, okay, I'm going to have faith and I'm going to return good for evil, and just all of these things that the Christian platitudes that kind of just bug me. So I'm really gonna like this. The one daughter has finally moved out. So the last of their children have finally moved out, and she found a place where there's these free-range chickens going. And she's like, yes, I'm gonna get some eggs. And I'm like, that's my kind of girl. So I don't know. I have really high expectations for this book now. So I'm really excited about it. Okay, and I'm in a different shirt now. It's not a different day. I just went for a bike ride with my son, and I didn't want to wear black because it attracts the sun, and I didn't want to be too hot. It was like bike riding and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to read the last book, and then I really need to get started on dinner. So, and then we'll kind of wrap this up and talk about it. Whew. Oh my. Oh my. Okay. Creepy vibes all over the place.
I read the first chapter.
Yeah.
Don't wait until you're way older, and definitely read it in the morning.
Yeah, don't read it before bed.
Creepy.
So, okay, pros and cons. Because there's a con for me in here. Okay, first of all, we open up with the puppeteer, the conductor, as he calls himself. And, like, you see the depravity of him right from the get-go. Oh my. And then we switch to another main character, who I think is a rookie on the SWAT team. Right now he's working at a university, kind of as a police guard, or it has something to do with that. Oh, and then you get another perspective of these other police officers that basically kind of jab him. And so there's the backstory. The con is that I agree that I like the first person perspective of the conductor, because you're kind of like in his head. But it's really hard because it goes from first person conductor to first person other main character whose name is Hazi. Well, it's Marcus Hashi or Hassi or something like that. Marcus is his first name, but he goes by another name. And so it switches to his point of view. So then I'm trying to like, okay, no, this is a different character. And just trying to figure out his story. But then it goes into a different characters, but that is told from a third person point of view. So it's a little mind boggling. The chapters were really short, so I got, went up to the 5th chapter. Chapters are very short, so I only got up to page 37. Whew. But yeah, I'm invested. This is gonna be like those psycho thrillers that really mess with you. And definitely not reading this at night. But
is it kind of like the True Colors in a way?
No, True Colors, for me, you are working with your main protagonist, kind of trying to figure out who it is. You don't have a perspective of the killer in it. Okay. This, you've got a perspective of the killer.
I'm not like True Colors better than that then.
Yeah, this is gonna be too dark for you.
Yeah.
You had a problem with that one Enola Holmes.
Yeah. The first chapter after that, I was like, I lost my train of thought now. Yeah, go ahead. I lost my train of thought.
Oof. Anyway, okay. So there are my first impressions, and yes, I will be finishing these and then giving you a full review that will come out whenever I get all of these done. Whew, this one.
Finished Threads of Blue. That was good.
What?
I finished Threads of Blue.
Yeah, she was kind of reading along with me. It's not part of this, but you'll have to stay tuned and see what our thoughts are of that. So I'm going to wrap this video up and leave down below and tell me what you think of the books that I've read. And I know a couple of you have done the book, a couple of you that watch my channel, you also did the book thing from Christian Book Distributors, and I think both of you ended up with the string too. So anyway, all right. I will probably do another video like this with the other 5 books that we did with this. But you'll have to stay tuned for that, because right now I've got May's books that I'm trying to read. Now I've started these and I'm kind of invested in them. This was not very well planned out. If you haven't seen my May video, you'll have to go check that out and see what I'm talking about. So until next time, have another cup of coffee
or tea
and read another chapter.
Bye.